Hello everyone. So today we'll be learning how does file.pizza works. So for anybody who doesn't know what file.pizza is, it's basically a service which lets you share files between two devices without using any external server. Now, how is it different from services like Google Drive or anything? Is that Google Drive has its own server, right, where the data is stored in the cloud. Whereas in this, your browser, your browser acts as a server. And note that this server is ephemeral, which means it's temporary, and the data can be only stored until the browser on both our devices is open, right? So let's understand the working and the whole architecture of how file.pizza works. So basically, it uses the concept of WebRTC. Now, uh, basically, how file.pizza is, user comes, he uploads to the browser. There is no server involved, and a magnet URI is generated. It's nothing but a URL to be short, and then the connection is established between the user A and the user B. And there can be many users, right? Like user A can act as a host, and there can be user B and as well as user C, user D, and so on. So we'll understand how it works, right? So what is WebRTC? It refers to the web real-time communication. So this is nothing but a framework or a service which lets you use real-time communication uh, on the web. Now let's understand the working. Now basically WebRTC consists of three main things. One is the STP exchange, one is the ICE candidates, and one is the P2P service or P2P communication. So what does STP exchange means? Here I've written in Hindi like एक session description protocol है. अब ये session description protocol क्या है? What is this? See, this is required when you have to create sessions, right? Like when you upload something, a session is created, and that session lasts for a particular duration. Now, why does this STP exchange happens? It's because now user A creates a STP exchange, right? As it is the uploader, and user B accepts this STP exchange of STP exchange accept karta because it contains the connection parameters. Whatever the parameters required for the connection may be, it may be the speed, it may be the browser specifications, anything. It is required because this browser specification should be compatible with this device browser specification. So it is very important for the HTTP exchange to happen. And once the exchange has happened, then the session is connected between this and this. So please understand why the STP exchange is very important. And then we have the ICE candidates. नाउ व्हाट दिस आईसीए कैंडिडेट्स, इट्स जस्ट अ फैंसी नेम. अब ब्राउजर होता है ना, वो अपना एक नेटवर्क एड्रेस जनरेट करता है. अब हर ब्राउजर का अपना एक नेटवर्क एड्रेस होता है, वो जनरेट करता है. उसे ही आईसी कैंडिडेट्स कहते हैं. अब हम आईसी कैंडिडेट्स क्यों चाहते हैं? व्हाई डू वी नीड आईसी कैंडिडेट्स? बिकॉज वी आर नॉट लाइक यूजर बी डजंट नो what the user A's IP addresses. So IC candidates helps to bridge that gap, right? So we'll understand why. To find the best path for direct P2P communication. Now, assume that there are like multiple ways you can make the file transfer happen, but you have to choose the best path, right? Best path involves less latency and direct transfer and everything. So we need that to happen. That is why IC candidates, it generates network addresses. So it bridges that gap, and these two devices can interact with the same network, like through that network address. So that is basically the few core things of WebRTC. Now there is this another concept of signaling server. The signaling server is not basically a server, but it is helpful in setting up the connection and coordinating that connection between the two devices or multiple devices, right? So let's understand. Now coming to peer-to-peer file transfer, it is nothing but uh, there is no intermediate things between. So it's basically from one device to another device. There is nothing in between. So it means that, right? Now let's understand um the file.pizza architecture using two users. Okay, so the user one is the uploader and the user B is the downloader. Okay, there is the signaling server which coordinates the connection setup and everything. There is this another concept of stun and turn which we will understand in the next video. There is this another concept called NAT which we'll understand in the later videos, which is actually important. And how it works is basically the browser. So a user uploads a file to the browser and it is read via the file API. Then what happens is a unique link is generated along with the session ID. Now the session ID will be very helpful in uh, maintaining the specific duration. So the file transfer will happen for that specific session time, right? Once that is expired, the uh, link or the connection is lost. So yeah, so this session ID is generated using the signaling server, which is used for the connection setup and coordinating everything. Now, this user A sends an STP, which I had discussed here, for the exchange to happen and offers ICE candidates. That is nothing but the network address for the signaling server, right? And this signaling server will then interact with the user B. And here, um, let me tell here that the unique link is generated, right? So this unique link is accessed by the user B and it then connects to the signaling server, which contains the STP and the IC things. So this then establishes a connection with the user A, and then exchange of SDP and ICE happens with the user A. And once the connection is established, the user B receives the file chunks directly, that is the P2P service, without any intermediate. So the direct send and transfer of um, documents, images, anything say happens without using any external server. So this is how file.pizza works, and we'll be understanding the NAT, stun, and turn in the later videos. Thank you.